Hi, everybody. I'm Pamela Wilson, caregiving expert, and today we're here to talk about caregiving change. If you're a caregiver, more than likely caregiving has totally changed your life in more ways than one. If you are an aging adult and you have a caregiver, your life has also probably changed significantly. Today, I'm going to share information about how to manage personal change and also information about my radio program, The Caring Generation, and just how the internet has changed radio programs over the past 10 years since I started my program. I wanted to say hello. I'm going to change this webinar to slides so that I can take you to the program. So just bear with me a moment while I bring up the slide presentation. Here we go. So the Caring Generation is a radio program that I began about 10 years ago in response to a desire from a local audience in Denver, Colorado, to be more informed about caregiving, aging, healthcare, and everything in between. Because if you know this, if you're a caregiver, we don't really talk about caregiving before that need arises. A little bit about me and the benefits of caregiving support. If you haven't met me before, for the past 20 years, I have been a professional caregiver in the roles of court-appointed guardian, medical and financial power of attorney, personal representative, care manager, and trustee, and a care manager, which means that I have been on call 24/7 and have done just about everything that a family caregiver could do. I am a great supporter of help for caregivers. Online caregiving support groups and courses offer a lot of beneficial information, and in life it's not possible to know everything that's going to happen in caregiving. So if you have a mentor, if you have a teacher, if you have someone that can help you through that, caregiving is a lot easier and less stressful. In these groups and courses, we talk about solutions to common caregiving questions. There are no silly questions. It's usually the questions that you don't ask that get you into trouble. You also have the opportunity to interact with other caregivers who understand. And this is a surprising statistic. There are many people out there who are helping family members, parents, grandparents, aunts, uncles, others, who don't see themselves as a typical caregiver. They see themselves as helping, but they don't put themselves into the caregiving category. So they don't realize that there are millions of other people like them who understand what they're going through. The other very isolated group are spouses and adult children who are what I call 24/7 caregivers. Their free time is consumed by caregiving tasks. They may be doing a lot of hands-on care, which are things like bathing and dressing, medications, taking loved ones to doctor appointments. And then there's the category of medical care, which caregivers willingly do, but they are fearful of making mistakes. This includes taking blood pressures, blood sugars, giving insulin, changing catheter bags, using feeding tubes, using transfer lifts like a Hoyer lift. Caregiving support groups and caregiving courses give caregivers confidence in their abilities and in their decision making, because, as I say, it's always what we don't know. It's always what we don't expect in caregiving that throws us, and we don't know what to do, and sometimes it can result in problems. And the best part of caregiving is that you get to know people who are in similar situations. So there is a lot of socialization, a lot of fun, a lot of camaraderie to be had in caregiving groups. Let's talk about the fact that caregivers need help, but they don't know where to turn. Caregiving is not a skill that we are born with because it requires so many skills. When you're a caregiver, it will test your patience, your empathy, your compassion, and sometimes you will feel like you just don't have the skills to succeed. What does it take? It takes time management and organization because your life becomes busier. You have to schedule things. You have to have a plan for how you're going to help your aging loved ones. It takes teamwork because if you have other people in your family who are helping, you coordinate with them. There are also people outside the family that you work with. Doctors' offices, nurses, medical clinics, sometimes hospitals, and pulling all those people together to work for your parent, your spouse, your loved one takes a little bit of coordination. Advocacy is a significant skill because it's the squeaky wheel that gets the grease or that gets the attention. People are so busy in healthcare that if you don't make your needs known or your loved one's needs known, if you don't stand up, step up, ask for what you want, you will get trampled in the crowd. Many times you have to be that advocate that explains to a doctor what you want and why you want it. And this is where there's a huge gap in caregiving because caregivers don't know how to do that many times. And because they're not medical experts, they don't know what questions to ask or how to advocate. These are the skills that I teach in my 2 online courses, Stay at Home and Power of Attorney. Those online courses are webinar content like what you are experiencing today, but also a live webinar. So when this webinar started, you saw me talking to you on a camera. There are question and answer sessions in my courses like that where you also can come on live next to me on camera and have your questions answered. If you're not quite sure how that works, go to my website, PamelaDWilson.com. Under How I Help, there is a drop-down called What is a Caregiving Webinar? And on there are a few brief webinars about how to register, how to sign up, and how to come on live with me. Caregivers need help but don't know where to turn. Why is that? It's because we don't talk about caregiving. Caregiving involves aging and health issues and sometimes eventual death. We're all headed down that path. But because it's a negative, it's a life transition, but it's not one that we look forward to. Not like moving out of our parents' home, getting married, having children, having grandchildren. All of those things are very exciting. Caregiving isn't this exciting thing that we talk about. And so we leave it up to fate. We leave it up to a health emergency, a heart attack, a hip fracture to pull us into the life transition of being a caregiver. Our aging parents certainly don't talk to us about caregiving. And this is a question about, why does that not happen? Many times we know that they cared for their aging parents, but sometimes I think they're hoping that they're not going to need care from their children. They don't want to be a burden. And they're hoping that things just aren't ever going to change, which is not realistic. Change is ongoing. And one of the subjects we are here to talk about is change. As I talked about a moment ago, these webinars make learning very easy. They are both recorded and live. The support groups and courses that I offer can be accessed on your time. You don't have to show up live if you don't want to. You can participate in the replay. The time that you probably do want to show up live is during the question and answer sessions. And just a reminder, visit my website, PamelaDWilson.com. What is a caregiving webinar to learn more? Let's talk about change, and I'll use my radio program as an example. I do a radio program every Wednesday evening, and it's live, and the podcasts are placed on my website, and you can find information there. When I started the radio program 10 years ago, it was 2009. And back then, radio programs were only done in buildings. So every Sunday morning, I drove to the radio station and I was there for 2 hours doing my program live. Caregiving support groups and courses were also like that. And there are still some today that you go to and you drive and you go to a building. But years ago, the only option was an in-person support group or an in-person course. And today, fast forward 10 years later from 2009, the internet has made the need for these brick and mortar buildings for us to physically go to a location so much less important. We don't have to do that anymore. The internet continues to change our world as caregivers. It's opened up new ways for caregivers to communicate and come together. The Caring Generation in 2019 is an internet radio program. It's broadcast live on Bold Brave Media with the replay podcasts on my website, PamelaDWilson.com, and distributed through TuneIn Radio, Spreaker, and other sources. I no longer go to a brick and mortar building. I can host the program from anywhere that I have an internet connection. Every week we talk about timely caregiving subjects, things that I've seen in the news, questions that I receive from caregivers. I also have a special guest which is on a timely topic, and the guests provide important information that we wouldn't necessarily find through our own research. They are experts. Caregiving support now, today, is accessible from your home. Just like you can listen to my radio program from anywhere, your home or your cell phone, you can access my caregiver support groups and my courses the same way. This gets rid of that excuse of, oh, I don't have time. That becomes irrelevant. The choice is whether you make the time to improve your caregiving situation, to become more informed, or if you choose not to make the time. We all have choices about how we spend our time, which leads to talking about change. How do you feel when you think about change? We can either accept it or we can go into it kicking and screaming. Caregivers experience life changes and care receivers experience life changes. To be successful with change, to manage it well, we have to be open-minded. Part of that is visualizing a positive caregiving future and all the good that can happen with family relationships and quality of care. Because what most caregivers want is they want good care for their loved one. They want to be able to take care of themselves. They want positive family relationships. And we can get this from caregiving, but we have to embrace it. Caregiving also involves just recognizing that we might be angry about it. We may have all these emotions that we feel. So in this picture, you see this set of parents sticking out their tongues. They're smiling, but they're saying, I don't like this. None of us may like change, but the fact is we can accept it. And when we do that, we figure out how to work through the change so that life is easier on everyone involved. Caregiving requires that we find this new balance and a new routine. So just like the girl in this photo, maybe you go over to mom or dad's one day a week and you help out with things. Maybe you grocery shop and you balance all of that with your own life. You may be working 40 hours a week. You may have your own children. You may be trying to get to the gym and do other things, but you have to bring caregiving into that routine, find a new balance, and make it work out for you the best way that you can. It's also important to find ways to create a positive mindset. And the way that I recommend doing this is to create a list of negatives that you see from this change, and then work on a list of positives that you see from this change in caregiving. Every time your brain goes to that, oh, I hate this. Oh, I don't like this change. Oh, this is horrible. Pull out that list and respond in the affirmative. This change is going to be okay. It's not as bad as I thought it would be. I am making it work. Focus on the positives. The biggest challenge in caregiving is waiting too long to get help, because it does involve continual change. Our loved ones are not going to get better, but yet, if we get help, if we take a course like my stay-at-home course or my power of attorney course, we can learn skills to manage caregiving situations so that they don't continually spiral out of control, so that the health of our loved ones can be maintained and not continually in a declining mode. It is so possible to improve caregiving situations, but as caregivers, we have to take the step to do that. As in any part of our life, we don't grow, we don't improve without effort. We don't grow, we don't improve without meeting other people who have positive attitudes, who have skills that we don't have, and who can inspire us to be better. Get help before caregiving feels like too much of a struggle. It is possible to help loved ones stay at home. There is a link on this page to a website page. It's dignityclaritystability.com. That is the sales page for my course, Stay at Home. Check it out, visit there. All of the information is there. If you are truly committed to helping your loved ones stay at home, you can do it. I can help. It is possible, and it is easy. I make it easy because of my 20 years of caregiving experience. Just a refresher on how my online groups work. I have a couple on Facebook. You can follow me on my Facebook page. It's Pamela D. Wilson page. There you can make a request to join the Caregiving Trap, which is my group. And in that support group, you can post questions in the chat. My monthly support group presentations like this one are usually the first Saturday of the month. However, if there's a holiday, that Saturday will change. You can sign up and check the date by going to this link here, https://eventsgendai.com, channel Pamela D. Wilson Caregiving Support. More online support is on my website at PamelaDWilson.com. There is my caregiving library, videos, a blog, online courses, and information about my television and radio programs. On TV, if you go to the Roku channel and you search for Caregiving TV, my program will come up. You can add it to your feed. Every month when I post new videos, you'll receive a notification that there are new videos there, especially for you. And I do these videos in response to caregiving questions. So if you go to the website for the television program, which is caregivingtv.com, you can actually post suggestions there for me. The other opportunity to participate weekly and to become more informed every week is Wednesday nights. 6 p.m. Pacific, 7 Mountain, 8 Central, 9 Eastern Time. The radio program is called The Caring Generation. Information is on my website at this link. 1 in 4 people that you know are caregivers. My goal is to reach 1 million caregivers worldwide, and I can't do it without your help. Please share this webinar, share my videos, share my website, share your information with everyone that you come across, because the people that you come across may be helping their loved ones, but may not call themselves a caregiver. You can also join me in a course and take control of your care or your caregiving situation. On this page are information about my stay-at-home course and my power of attorney course. The goal is to make caregiving better for everyone involved. If you have questions, you can send an email to me at inquiryforpamela@PamelaDWilson.com. A reminder, join me in the Facebook group, The Caregiving Trap. I do a video on my Facebook page every day. Check out my website, PamelaDWilson.com. And I am going to come in and say hello to you down here. Say hello and goodbye. Thank you so much for joining me. And again, please share this information. There are so many caregivers out there who need help. There are people who are helping loved ones out there who need help, who don't realize they are caregivers. Help me in my mission to reach 1 million caregivers throughout the world. I thank you so much for taking this time with me, and I hope to see you in another video.